Join us for part 2 of this interesting conversation with Avenida Stewart, social worker in the Ministry of Education. And we want to now move forward to secondary school and making that transition to secondary school, because most of these students would be accustomed to a miss or sir, that one person teaching them the core subjects, right? Maybe teaching them all the subjects, or they may have a few specialist teachers. But I mean, in secondary school is a whole different ballgame. So if you could share with us, how do we as parents, as guardians, help our children to emotionally transition to secondary school?
So this is a very important question, because a lot of times parents say, well, you're big enough now, you can handle it. All right.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
And they see their main role as providing the physical, providing your books and your stuff and things like that. And they move on from there. Yeah, they do not bother with the emotional. But we recognize that the children that we started to build an emotional bank with, the standard 4s and the 5s, as we started to build that emotional bank, by the time they got to Form 1, they were very prepared for the environment. Because in Form 1, you are now exposed to persons from so many different schools and backgrounds and cultural understanding. So when you may have picked a primary school in your community, you may have felt comfortable that you know this parent for 5 years, you know this parent, you know everybody in the school. Now this child is in secondary school, and you can easily become overwhelmed with the number of persons that you see, the number of teachers you're exposed to, and just you may start to have some self-doubt. Yeah, and that's why it was so important to start building in this emotional bank since standard 4 and previous to that. Yeah, so as we build self-esteem, we recognize that these children will be better able to cope with peer pressure, because this will be the first emotional battle for them to handle. And peer pressure starts from Form 1. That's what you have on your foot, that's what you're wearing, that's your school bag. You didn't box lunch. Your mother gave you money for buying lunch. So that they are already getting bombarded. And then you have negative peer pressure, where you may hear persons talking about, well, very dark class now. The teacher here, them don't know we have to know. They don't know we name, they don't know we face, we knew. So we could start to lime after class, lime during class, lime all the time. So that when you would have had a discussion with your child since before SC about what is our goal, what is our purpose, what do we want to do? And of course, everything is linked. So before we talked about accepting differences, understanding what they appreciate, that would have guided you, the parent, to have a discussion with them in terms of future goals. So as we look at goal setting, that idea of goal setting is what is going to help them push through all of the peer pressure that may come, that negative peer pressure that may come. Yeah. And we're seeing that the self-esteem may be encouraged and may be boosted as you give them responsibilities as well. As your child goes into Form 1, they may be able to handle new experiences and new situations, so that your child may now be able to commute on their own to school. God willing, we go back to physical school. They may be able to get a taxi, jump in a maxi. They can now handle a bit more responsibility. I tell my parents, observe your child and give what can be handled. Do not be a parent that your child is now able to travel on their own and you forcing them, wait for school and I'm coming for you. And all of the friends traveling together, your child has demonstrated to you they are able to handle that. And you have said, no, I'm not ready for that. You notice what I said? I'm not ready for that. Because for a lot of these situations, we look at our children, and it's something that confuses me. You, the parent, you have built their resilience. You have ensured that they are strong individuals, and they are now asking for their independence because you have taught them how to be independent. And now we're saying, nah, not yet. Just now, but not now. And that can damage their self-esteem. Because then I start to question, maybe I can't do this. Maybe someday I really can't travel, no. I can't do this. No, I'm not brave enough. And you will hear that I can't start to grow in frequency. I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't go outside, I can't do the maths, I can't do the Spanish. So what we want to do is start to build self-esteem, start to encourage and give them enough that they can cope and come back. Yeah. And we're looking at ensuring that they understand friendship selection. And that's a very important key getting into Form 1 right now. You need to be able to judge. And I tell parents, the truth is, even as adults, we judge wrong. Huh? You pick somebody to be a friend and they realize that this is not the friend for you. However, even though that may occur, we are preparing them. So we are letting them know that in selecting friends, what are the things you're going to look for? We're letting them know this person's with positive values, because these are the things we inculcated within them. We're looking at honesty. We're looking at persons who are kind, persons who are trustworthy. These are the things. And one might argue, well, everybody in Form 1, you can't guess that. However, if Miss dishing out books and Miss say, well, all right, if you did not put your homework book on the table, put up your hand. And you know your friend boast, I don't know class night, you know. And when Miss say put up your hand, the person did not put up their hand. You already know this is not an honest person. This is not a person that values education. This is not a person on a mission like you. So if it is, this person is not on the same mission like you, they can't be on your ship. I tell my parents that once you and your child understand that this boat is for persons on the same mission. So that's how we have parents, partners, guardians on the same page, with the same values, with the same futuristic thinking, what we have plans, what goal settings we're looking at. When the parents are on board, they are able to communicate with their child. They're able to build on the interest of their child, and we realize, okay, we can meet in the middle. You say you want somebody to go tertiary. I say I like sports. Fine, I go in UWI and study sports. Middle ground. And these are the way discussions have to occur. And when we have that goal, then our children are better able to differentiate who can be on the boat, because they're accustomed to know what ship members look like. So they know what this friend should be. We're looking at friendship selection. We remind our parents to have discussion with your children in terms of persons that may carry them astray. Form 1 is a time where you can be a bit naive, because other persons may have, as old people call it, more road sense than you. And it happens sometimes where you might have been an intellect, you have plenty book sense, but with the road sense, you may have been very protected. And so it may be easy for somebody to say, well, you know, let me try this, let me go there, let me do that. Don't worry, miss wouldn't know, your mother wouldn't know. However, your child is supposed to be at that point where they can say, well, you know what, I don't know, you know, something feeling off, and follow their gut. And you see that intuitive aspect of your child, a lot of us tend to crush it with our children. And I tell parents, encourage it. When children tell you, well, mommy, and where we going by so-and-so, auntie so-and-so, uncle so-and-so, I don't like going there, no. Instead of saying, well, Hashem, out you're going, then you ask, why not? What you don't like about there? What makes you feel uncomfortable? And it's the same intuition that we ask them to follow through. There is what we would want them to follow through with regards to our secondary school choices. When you are around individuals, if it is you're lineman on a crew and somebody watch you suddenly and you feel uncomfortable, take your exit. And you will notice it all links to self-esteem, because if it is I am comfortable in myself, I know I don't have to line with Talia. I'm making a turn. I don't mind liming with myself. And someone may say, well, that's pretty difficult for a Form 1 to consider being by themselves based on their stage of development and wanting to have friends and interaction and things like that. However, when we start building on that emotional block, ensuring that our emotional bank is so topped up, your children will let you know, mommy, you know what happened today? Well, yeah, I can't line up with you again. No, I not line with them again. No, I can't deal up with them. And you wouldn't have to give them any advice. You will just stand there and smile, because you're hearing the situation took place. Your child withdrew from it and went to safety, and they know not to put themselves in that situation in the future. So you're seeing all of what you taught with regards to resiliency and coping. and bouncing back, understanding. And this is a situation I don't want to be in. The last time I was in this type of situation, what did I do? Yeah, let's repeat that now and let's bounce. You know, so it's really about building that relationship with them, communicating with them, and ensuring that they understand that you are there to support them in this new journey of Form 1.
Wow, you're just blowing me away with all this information, because I teach secondary school, but this is the first time that I would have a child going into secondary school, and it's all these things now that I have to consider. So I really do appreciate this. With regards to physical changes that these children will go through going into Form 1, what are they and how can we prepare for them?
Okay, when we look at physical changes, the most prominent one, as you mentioned before, would have been classrooms and teachers. All of a sudden, your child, instead of being in one classroom all day with one teacher, they can be in a large 3-story building, moving from block to block, this block to that block. And for some children, it's a bit overwhelming simply because they are unable to make that connection. Because when they had a teacher in primary school, this was my person, me, my teacher, and they can build that relationship, and that makes them feel comfortable and safe. Now that it's difficult to build any relationship with any teacher because there's so many of them, a child can become a bit overwhelmed. A child may feel unwilling to go to school because for them, it's a challenge to form any bonding situation with anybody. Yeah. And I tell parents, if it is you see your child has started to become withdrawn and unexcited about going to school, have the discussion again. Everything is about communication. You ask them what's going on. What about school you don't like? What about it isn't having your interest? What are you uncomfortable with? And you discuss it. While as a parent, you know at the back of your head, you're thinking, hey, you is going to school. It must be that you assist this person to get to that point. Not you put on the big stick and say you're going to school tomorrow, full stop. Because they may listen to you and go to school tomorrow and the next day, but one of these days, because we did not properly address the matter that was a concern, we might hear it. Somebody's child went missing because they ran away. Or again, self-harm occurred, or even committed suicide because we did not give the child the opportunity to express the concern and for us to address the concern. Yeah, because even in secondary school, we recognize that when in primary school, it's seen there are cliques. 5s line with 5s, 4s line with 4s, 3s line with 3s. And as the line in primary school, in secondary school, your child may be in Form 1, but persons in higher levels may come online at the Form 1 block every day, praying. Yeah, and I use the word praying because they're looking for something, and because your child may not be properly prepared, things may have occurred, or things may possibly be planning to be occurring, and things may occur, and your child is telling you, here, no, mommy, I don't like going to school, no. And this is you saying, go to school. However, your child's intuition has already said something is not safe. And we're going to notice we are repeating certain things, we're hitting on certain points because it's connected. If we are building intuition, we need to trust it. And again, we're looking at encouraging self-love. If I love myself, then if something makes me uncomfortable, I wouldn't want to be there. Even if the long-term goal is education, for now, I need to consider how I survive in this week, So that's important for us, really and truly, that's important. That whole understanding that the physical aspect will have a concern, and then we're looking at the puberty and the sexuality. And of course, I slipped into puberty and sexuality by explaining the fact that older children may start to lime around the younger ones. They're already scoping out. They are already looking to see who is the weakest link. And I tell people, think about the jungle, it's serious. They are looking to see who they could say something to and they start to smile. Family are pretty, Now, if you were the parent that you were building self-esteem, You have that emotional bank overflowing. The first family, you're looking good enough. That your daughter here, she might say, what's your point? I know that. And walk off. So they will be unimpressed because the emotional bank is overflowing. They are aware of themselves. There is overloading of self-love, so that somebody coming into their space has to come real good to get their attention. And that's what we want. We want that when there are concerns in terms of sexuality and persons wanting to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and let's try this and let's try that, your child will be willing to say, nah, that's not for me. That's not for me. And that's the type of child we are looking to groom. That's the type of child we're promoting. And of course, that only occurs through communication and relationship building with the adult and the child. When I speak about puberty as well, it's important for us to acknowledge and accept that our children experience puberty. I think sometimes I have to say that. For some parents are like, well, miss, that's my baby girl, that's my little boy. And they are unable to see this person as a sexual being. And so that puberty occurred, now your child, if it's a female, is able to go through the menstrual cycle. And according to physical biology, your child is able to have another child. However, rather than have a discussion with your child about that, you might say, she's still small, don't talk about that, that's not important right now. However, let's consider this scenario. Your child is 12, 13, maybe. They have been experiencing their cycle since 11. So the cycle doesn't throw them off their accustomed to it. When it comes, you have already told them, you have your little bag, your girly bag, go to the washroom, organize, clean up, tidy up, okay. However, this child was not given the information towards what does this cycle mean? What does it mean? Now that I have a menstrual cycle, yes, I can clean up after myself, but what does it mean for the body? And then we have someone in an older form, a bigger form, an older child, that comes and starts to interact with your child. And they say, well, it's not a big deal. I could see yours, you could show me mine. And we sat down that road, that sexuality road, and your child had sexual intercourse. In their opinion, not a big deal. Then there's pregnancy. For a child of this age, I've seen situations where for a lot of them, they did not even understand that that was a possibility. Yeah. So when I tell parents the discussion of puberty is important for males and females, I repeat that it's always important. I say it with such passion and vigor for them, because even with our boy children, we may have the discussion with a girl, and then we say, well, them boys gonna know about them fellas, go tell them. And I tell parents, you are leaving the education of your child to other people. Can't work. Yeah, because yes, it may be a male, but he himself may not have understood that pregnancy could have occurred. For some children, they assume that this child rearing something is based on chronological age. So I'm not old enough to have a baby, so I can't have a baby. Not understanding that it's biological, not necessarily chronological, biological. So it is possible once the body has experienced puberty. And that is, again, the second physical changes that we need to prepare them for. Of course, the advances of others falls into that category. How to communicate with the opposite sex, how to read the body language and the slight notes of the opposite sex. And I tell parents, there's a reason why there is one of each kind in the house. And even if there's you all are not a couple, there must be another one of the other kind in the house. Or if not in the house, you have a neighbor of another kind, you have cousin, and it's important for that child to interact with them and get certain information. And I say that, and I know a lot of people might hear man say, well, women could raise boys and ladies men could raise girls, and what is the argument? We're not discussing raising. We are considering how there are nuances with each gender. There are nuances. that must be communicated, and it's best communicated from their own kind. One can say, well, you could teach theory, and theory says this, and theory says that. I would like to say that interacting in a situation gives you stronger information than just settling for a book. So that if we are saying that your child needs to experience liming around boys, because essay come, you get results, and here's a mixed school. If it is your child went to full all-girls school or all-boys school, and they are now going into Form 1 with mixed students, it is your responsibility to have the discussion. Prepare them for that. And I'm going to say long time, but while they were in Standard 5, them girls flipping, jumping, hugging up, rubbing up, and that's normal. Now that you're in Form 1 in a mixed school, at all times you must be alert, sitting properly. You don't want anybody come and rub up on you, because a fella might come and say, hey, lend me a pencil there, and lean over here a little bit and rub a little bit and get a touch here. And so the discussion is important with regards to sexuality and puberty. I think another discussion that we would want them to have as a physical change you need to be prepared for in secondary school is safety. And when we're looking at safety, we're looking at understanding where is the school located? How do we get there? Are there private taxis? Are there registered taxis? Should I get in a car? Should I get in a maxi? What is the plan? If there's an emergency, what do I do? And I tell parents, when they were in primary school, we had emergency plans. We let them know when bell ring, stand up by the gate. If your driver don't come, ask the security for a call, and the security will call your mother. And look your mother number in the book, look your father number in the book. Don't forget it, check your book. When they're going to Form 1, have that security discussion as well. With the security and safety discussion, we are not only talking about a safety plan to exit the compound or exit the community at the end of school. We are also talking about safety plans when it comes to the school compound on a whole, on the school compound. Because while the school compound should be safe, and in many times we have adults there to ensure that it is safe, there will be an unguarded moment. It is always possible. If somebody sees your child and has intentions, somebody will make that moment. So you have the discussion with safety. You ensure that mobile phones are working. You ensure that they understand just how to move around, how to communicate, how to feel uncomfortable. Reach in a car, you might message, Mommy, I reach in the car, and the license plate is so and so. And these things may sound simple, but we have seen situations where these things saved children. Because I remember not long ago, we had a situation where a young lady was missing on Charlotte Street. And the parents said, I got a text. Look, she said she was in such and such location. This was the last location she was in. And then investigation started from there, and then we branch out. And of course, all of this, when we consider safety and security, it is going right back to self-esteem and self-love, because we are teaching our children that secrecy isn't safe. If it is, you need to keep it from mommy, you need to keep it from daddy, then you have to ask yourself, how come? Why come? And then we start to have the discussion. Yeah. So I think those are the three main things for us for physical safety. The whole issue of the changes they may experience with regards to teachers and school, and the school classrooms being so many, puberty and sexuality, and of course, safety plans with regards to safety and commuting.
I appreciate this information because, with the possibility of students may have to go back out to school in September, even or later on in the year, even on a phased basis. I think this information is crucial to parents. With regards to students being online, though, are there any things that as parents we need to take note of, because they have to spend a lot more time online? What are some things that we need to take note of as parents?
Yes, online, definitely. So with online, we recognize that, there was some situations that we could have protected our children against. So we're saying that the whole abduction and these things, we thought, they are home, they're safe, we got to worry about that. Then we recognize, hold up. Yes, they're home, but are they safe? And that question came up, and we're looking at the fact that now we have online grooming. Online grooming is where there are predators who are floating about. So your child may be, what do you call them? PS4 has the little chat rooms. All these online games have the little chat rooms. And I may come in an online game and start to talk to someone. So, hey, let's be here all the time. It's what school you going? What class you in? All right. And they start to build a relationship with your child. And you might be, unaware. You're up and down, you're cleaning house. You are comfortable that your child is home, not knowing that your child is here making relationships that they may be, they would have been innocent about, thinking this is another child in their school. Not knowing this is an adult who is a predator, who is now trying to build relationships. They are trying to encourage inappropriate language. Then from language, they go to inappropriate pictures and videos, and then they might well send a photo for me now. Look how long we're talking. I talking to you so long, you're my good friend, and I never see how you look like. Send a picture for me. And then it turns to, but you looking like a little girl, so send a picture, you looking like a big girl. Then your child starts to change how they look for the picture. Yes. Then they might hear, well, it's not a picture, but how I know it's really you. With all that catfishing going on, send a video. I got talk in the video and I'll do a little dance in the video. And you see that something that started innocent has started to change. And this person is trying to forge a relationship. So when we look at grooming, they are looking to create a relationship with your child. They may say, well, I mightn't have, my device given trouble, so I mightn't have computer access for a little while. So the only thing I have is phone. You have a phone? Let's send me a number so I could call you. Your child might say, well, I don't really get money to put money on my phone. You don't? That's okay. I could put money on your phone for you. And this is somebody who is, the relationship is building. Now the relationship is being strengthened because I've given you something. Yeah. I've given you something and you think it's so free. You think I am your best friend and I'm caring for you. But after a while, it turns into, but I always giving you thing. Well, why you can't send me the video? Why you getting on so? It's only one thing I ask you for. Send the video and I'll let me see a dance. So now this is somebody asking for something in return. And by the time you reach that point, your child, if their emotional bank has not been filled, may be unwilling to come to you. Because now they're feeling ashamed and I was supposed to know and I didn't. And there's some guilt and these things. However, when we go back to resiliency and coping, there must have been a situation that happened previously with you and your child that your child felt ashamed about, guilty about, and you all talked it through. So now when it occurs, because the child can remember, well, when so-and-so happened, didn't ignore her. No, I went and talked to mommy and mommy was disappointed and she was sad. And both of we cried together. But mommy said she still loves me and I am still her child. So this did that, she'll do it again this time. I'd rather worry. Yeah. Because we realize that with online grooming, of course, that is going to be followed by missing persons and trafficking. It's linked. Because after I've made a relationship with you, I may have sold your photos and your videos and gotten income from it. And somebody might say, you're sending pictures and videos. I want the real thing. I can afford it. Call a figure. So your child now has a price attached to them. Your pride and joy has a figure. And this person is going to go out of their way to get your child out of the house in a public setting in order to ease them somewhere. And we hear it. We hear on many occasions. When abductions happening, trafficking happening, when we see these billboards of so-and-so missing, so-and-so missing, we don't hear persons broke into the home and kidnapped. No, we hear so-and-so went down the road and didn't come back. So-and-so went in some car. So-and-so went to meet this one, went to meet a friend. That's if it is that was shared. You might just hear they went out, they went for a walk and disappeared. So online grooming is something that parents definitely need to be aware of. How do we mitigate that? You can put safety settings on your devices. You put your devices in a public area within the room. So when your child is on the computer, I could pass and peep and see what's going on the computer. Yeah, it mustn't be that they are locked up in a room all day with this computer. Then you look at the way they react. If you take the computer, if you take the device, is it a panic and they can't breathe and total house on fire behavior, or is it they vex and they roll off? Because when we look at online grooming, we recognize that the relationships that are being built, these persons start to make your child so dependent on them. When I call, they answer. When I message, answer. So why didn't call? I was so worried, and you see me, I can't take this anymore. I feel to kill myself. When you don't call, I feel I go kill myself. So now your child feels obligated.
Yes.
Obligated. So I have to call. This is my friend. My friend needs me, they need me. And then when we see this happening, it means that they have already made that emotional connection with your child. And I tell my parents, you make sure the only emotional connection your child has is with you. And how do we do that? Communicating, interacting, having family time, watching TV together, laughing together, just being together, understanding their love languages. These are the things that you can do to strengthen your relationship with your child. Sticking to your word, standing up for them. These are the things we're looking at. Because if it is you stick to your word when you promise me something, I trust that you will always be there for me. These are the things that will be building the relationship. Something else with online as well would be cyberbullying. And we tell persons, well, sticks and stones to make my bones. So words not supposed to hurt you. But cyberbullying could be quite sharp. Yeah. It could be quite sharp. And even for someone whose self-esteem is overflowing, cyberbullying could affect you because it's a repetition. It's someone just knocking on that door, just knocking every day. Every time you go online, pictures, photos, flyers, some persons may get so mean that they pass things in a class. Yeah. So when you made your comment that your daughter doesn't really answer questions in class, what I thought is, and of course it may be quite incorrect, but I do know situations where children do not answer via Zoom because when they do, other people make fun of them. So I might be right. So in your opinion as the parent, if you're right, say the answer. But for me, I write, but it inverted. Getting teased after, can you hear so-and-so voice? That's why the song all the time. If I'm hearing this all the time, I wouldn't want to unmute. Some of our children may not even want to put on their camera because they have a lot of pimples and puberty has occurred and they have breakouts and they may not be proud of the environment. They don't want to put on video. So that these are the things that may lead to cyberbullying. And so we can only counteract that by attempting to strengthen our children and allow them to talk. Because if it is, they are able to communicate with you and say, this person did them this person said that, then the both of you can work with it. So you could even tell a child, hey, they tell you that? How you skinny and what? You let them know that even though you're skinny, your appetite is well healthy and you're good healthy. If you know your child is an athlete, you let them know. Hey, they tell you you're skinny? Well, tell them run the skinny girl in a race now, see how they go. Because you are now, and it goes back to resiliency and coping. Yes. You are now helping them to be a bit stronger. You are giving them the tools that they need to protect themselves because you're not going to be there all the time. I notice you didn't tell them, cost this so and so. You didn't tell them that. Right. But you were wise in how you help them to express their own concerns. You recognize that this is an issue for them and you are now helping them deal with that issue. And for a lot of parents, that's something that they don't see as relevant because in their mind, well, miss, I had to work. I had to get this, I had to do that. How much thing I had to do? I had to do that and then small thing. She could handle herself, he could handle himself. But your support goes a long way as a parent. It goes a long way to building the relationship. And in this whole discussion, if nothing else is taken, it is that we need to build our relationship with our children and they will overcome anything.
Wow, what a wonderful note to end on, Ms. Stewart. Thank you so much for sharing all this vital information to really build up our resilience in our students and to build up their self-esteem. I really, really do appreciate the time that you took to share with us. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts, anything that you want to share before we wrap up.
Definitely. I'd like to say thank you so much for the opportunity I would like to say that we have so many hardworking school social workers, so many, and we are in all schools, primary level and secondary level. If as a parent you have a concern, you can approach your principal and inquire about the school social worker. If within your school you recognize that your school may not have a school social worker, you approach your district office or the Ministry of Education. But we have so many school social workers that do exactly what I did today, all the time with their parents. It is a regular thing. And so I want to say congratulations to our hardworking social workers of the Port of Spain and Environs district, particularly, even though we have other districts. I want to big up my district, Port of Spain and Environs. And I want to encourage our parents and our school admin to utilize your school social workers because they are so hardworking and willing to support.
Fantastic. That's a great message. Thank you so much. And to everyone, remember your 3 W's: wear your mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.